Stories of Survival, The Battle of Hue, 1968, Vietnam War, by KYMANI Brown. Chapters 6 to 7.
Chapter 6. I regained consciousness. Pain surged through my body. I felt like all of my bones in my body had broken. I struggled to get up. I felt like I was in a pool of spikes. But as I got up, I realized I was in a pool of glass. It hurt so much. I had cuts and bruises all over my skin, and my nose was crusted with blood. My arm was swelling with pain, and it became hard to walk. I looked behind me to see that I was in a shop. A big hole was seen in the window of it. That's what I have crashed into. A shop. I didn't know what had sent me flying. I didn't know if a bomb, an artillery shell, or a grenade exploded beside me to send me literally flying into a shop. Or maybe a vehicle or something like that exploded next to me. I couldn't tell for sure. However, that one North Vietnamese soldier with the bayoneted beat-up old rifle that tried to kill me was gone. The street to see bodies of all the four factions, American, South Vietnamese, Viet Cong, and North Vietnamese soldiers scattered all around. The city was also left in ruins with flames coating the streets and buildings. Vehicles and tanks were also laying shattered and burning throughout the streets. I heard the faint sound of gunfire, artillery fire, and bombs ring through the air. Tears burned in my eyes by the sight of Hue now, a destructive, fiery war zone. I saw North Vietnamese soldiers storming the streets, wielding their weapons. Then, one of the PAVN soldiers popped into my view. He aimed his rifle at me while shouting angry Vietnamese orders.
NY, NM Shunti Nai.
With barely enough strength to run or even fight for my life, I had to give up. I raised my bruised hands and got on the ground. I didn't know what a North Vietnamese military prison looked like then, before the man could detain me. He was shot through the heart. He plopped to the ground, holding his chest as blood seeped through his fingers. A ping noise was heard after the shot. Then, after that, a South Vietnamese soldier, or an American one, with a familiar small goatee and a beat-up marksman rifle ran in front of me.
Jane, you okay?
He asked. I recognized that voice. It was cool and smooth. It was Larry the hippie. He had his M1 Garand marksman rifle in his hands. Larry, I exclaimed, stumbling over to him and hugging him. But I was a bit confused. I thought Larry had left the military. When I told him so, he said this.
Being in the military doesn't mean fighting excatly for the country. Being in the military means protecting you from the people that try to hurt you.
I felt uplifted by that quote. I couldn't believe Larry had rejoined the United States military. Behind him, there was my little brother, Robert. He was bruised and injured, but he managed to smile, and behind him was Mom, Dad, Dee, and her 4 kids. Mom ran to me and hugged me, tight. She hugged me like never before, all the while sobbing.
Kids, I'm so sorry I didn't believe about this.
Mom sobbed. With that, my parents apologized about everything they had did. They apologized for dragging us here. They apologized for lying. They apologized for disrespecting Larry. Well, Mom only did. They apologized for thinking a military conflict was a joke.
Chapter 7. A few months later, back in Alabama.
It's been months since we moved back to Birmingham, Alabama. Mom and Dad had changed their ways. I had good times with my friends, and Robert after we both got checked out by medicals at a hospital back in South Vietnam. Dee and Larry got married after Larry had earned the rank of lieutenant in the United States Marines due to his bravery and success in Vietnam, but still he's struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. Larry, Dee, and her 4 kids now currently reside in Florida, and things were pretty much back to normal. Today, we had gotten a message from Dee that she and Larry are having a 5th child. It was going to be a big family. Larry is trying hard to avoid bad habits like smoking and drinking. He's also keeping his cool and trying hard to keep his relationship healthy with Dee and his children. However, back in Hue, South Vietnam, There was a deadly massacre that laid out just 7 months ago. Thousands of South Vietnamese civilians and prisoners of war, which I assume were American or another capitalist force, were killed by Viet Cong and PAVN forces. Also on a newspaper it showed another atrocity of a beat-up man with a pistol to his head, awaiting execution. It turns out he was a Viet Cong captain named Nguyen Vien Lm who served along with his troops during the TT offensive. I guessed that was the campaign where the battle back in Hue was named. The photo grew to be very controversial. But that all didn't bother me. I'm not saying I don't care about the innocent lives that were lost. I care with all my life and my heart. I want them to rest in peace. All I was happy about was that I was back home, where I belong, watching football games and having a laugh or two.